might drop in during this 45 minutes. First, I'll introduce myself. My name is Dan Erik. I live here in Gothenburg, and I'm an engineer in energy systems usually, but I have an engagement in this JAK membership bank, and do some speeches and lectures and courses about this on my spare time. Since we're not so many people here, it would be nice to hear just a brief introduction of yourselves, if you want to. Maybe how come you came here and where you're from, whatever you'd like to say, if you want to. So, if you want to start in the back, then we can move forward.
I'm Daphin, and I live in Lund, and I wanted to see a bit what was in this conference, because it's the first time I come to a Swedish free software event. So, banking is also interesting in society. So.
It's related to...
But the subject of banking is important in the society, so I was interested in coming.
Okay, for the site, what?
Society.
Society, okay. Of course, yeah, very much.
I'm Victor, I'm a computer science student, and I'm interested in free technology and free software.
Okay, I'm David, and I'm also a computer science student, and yeah, I'm also interested in free software and banking. Yeah, I guess that sums it up.
And we met a week ago in a course about JAK, and I think you like some of the topics today during this track.
Might be something different.
Yeah, there will be many different things.
Hello, my name is Arto Teres. I'm from Finland, although nowadays mostly living in Germany. Been interested in free software already for quite a long time. Been mostly involved in like the Finnish Linux user group and more this kind of user group kind of things. And third time FSCons, so it was a few years back, a couple of times. And I'm been interested in ethical banking and JAK already for a longer time. A couple of years ago, I was considering if I can open an account in JAK, but it was not really possible in Sweden. There was JAK Finland. I'm a member. I didn't really hear much anything about from them since then, and I kind of forgot about it. But I think I sent them also an email and asking how is it doing? Are they still operating? But I'm interested to hear how it has been developing in Sweden.
Okay, my name is Tommi Lintola. I come from Finland. I'm here as finding out what JAK is all about. It's I might have heard it sometime, but I didn't know what it is. And I have been working with open source for a few years, starting from mid-90s. And so just interesting to see what it's all about, this JAK.
My name is Joseph, and I'm from Uppsala. It's the third time here at FSCons, and I'm already a member. I've been a member of it for a couple of years, and I think the open source world and ethics in free software and JAK, they are a perfect match. I think they have the same ethic goals, I think.
Yeah, there is a long way. I don't know, those of you who were here first, you noticed that this computer is not a Linux computer. And it's belongs to the JAK bank, so they need to change.
So I was glad to see that JAK was going to be here, so that's why I'm here, just to, have to go there.
Yeah, and I'm Eric, and I'm also from Uppsala. First time at FSCons. I've heard a little bit about JAK before, and interested to hear more. Generally interested in free software, open software, and economic and financial systems. So it's going to be nice.
Sounds perfect.
Yeah.
Well, I'm Roy, currently living here in Gothenburg, software engineer by profession. Stumbled in here of pure curiosity. Never heard of JAK before. Interested in financial systems and things like that, security especially. Yeah, that's what I'm here.
I find the idea really fascinating, and actually I've been a member of JAK. It's the first thing I've done when I moved to Sweden. But sadly, using my course Swedish, I cannot really take part in this sense. My ownership.
Well, that's great. How come you? How did you know about JAK already when you came?
So I think it was I heard that in the newspaper, in the French newspaper, during the crisis in 2008 or something, and they faced JAK as one of the very resilient.
Hi, my name is August. I'm an activist and pedagogue, and I'm very curious being part of this conference today. And I'm active in something called Watch It, and we're doing a workshop to the end of this day on this themes of sustainable economy. But I'm also an activist in the JAK movement in Sweden, and in the one action network called Besök en bank in Swedish, Visit a Bank, demanding changes in the banking system and promoting the alternatives. So this is also clearly, JAK is one of them, and the true alternatives.
I'm Fatuma. I'm also working on Project Watch It. Yeah, I'm a researcher, pedagogue, activist, and things. And yeah, I'm very interested in sustainable economy, but also seeing our part in the economy and how we can influence in different ways.
Cool. Very good group of interesting people here. This is the first lecture today of the whole track called Visions for a Sustainable Economy. We in the local chapter of JAK in Gothenburg are coordinating this. So this first lecture is a bit of introduction to what is JAK. We'd like to tell a bit about that for those of you who already don't know. And try to start a bit of the discussions that hopefully will go on the whole day during this track. So, what is Visions for a Sustainable Economy? Then what is sustainable? There is this famous definition of sustainable. I guess, has anybody seen it here before? Sustainable development is development that meets the needs of present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. So, we'll try to talk about and think about an economy that can fulfill this definition, system of economy. And then what is economy? We can think about that also and discuss it more in the end. To start with, I'll tell you a bit more about the JAK Bank, what it's all about. I assume some of you have heard a little about JAK Bank, some was already members, but I'll take it all quite from the start anyhow. It started in Denmark in the 1930s, after or during the Depression, and it was an initiative of people themselves to provide banking service for them. Basically a credit union where people were lending and borrowing borrowing and saving money in group to each other, and in a way interest-free. And that's the special thing about JAK, the feature of being kind of interest-free. And I say kind of because interest can be defined in different ways. And the whole base of the foundation of JAK, when we say that we are interest-free, it means that there is no interest as taking profit from capital without actual costs. Only taking a fee from capital for covering actual costs. So that's a very important definition. And it's not, many people would define interest as just taking a fee on capital. So that's an important definition. And then why interest-free? For what reason? And I'll try to start by showing those reasons why we should, in this way of thinking about interest-free, why it's possible. And it's to a large part about equality. These are statistics from Germany some years ago, 2007, and it shows how much each part of the population divided into 10 groups of their income, separated by income, how much they earn or pay from interest. And the left diagram shows only banking interest, and so only savings interest and lending interest. You can see that maybe you can't see because the numbers are really small. But this is the lower part. These people actually have no money. They are, in total, they are in debt. And these people have the most money. Those are the 10% of the population with the most biggest equity. And during the lifetimes, the poorer will pay more in interests in relative to what they get from interests than the richer. And if you take, in the right diagram, if you take into account profits from real estate and stock and other financial types of equity, then the highest 10% are earning a lot of income from these kind of interests, if you can call stock as a kind of interest. And the difference between the ones with less total equity is higher. So what it shows is that the interest rates are a force of creating inequality in society. The ones who have more will always earn more because of interest rates. And this is also on a global scale. I'm sorry about there is Swedish texts, but I'll explain everything. This shows a very rough division of the world between OECD countries and those countries listed as poorer countries. And the green arrow here with the number 76 in billion dollars is representing the foreign aid from the OECD countries to the poorer countries. And this was in 2008, and it's from World Bank statistics. I can check it. This middle arrow here are the interest rates on these loans, all different types of loans. that the poorer countries pay to the OECD countries. So they are the same. The equalizers are. And that's without taking account the installments on the loans, which is the rightmost arrow, which are significantly higher than all the foreign aid. So the inequality is also on the global scale between different parts of the world. A driver of inequality. So that's one reason why, well, for example, me personally think JAK is interesting. And perhaps since through my work I would work with energy technology, it's the ecological footprint and the sustainability from ecological perspective that's really interesting also. How many in here have come across the discounting rate, the word discounting rate, or discounting? It's the profit of, the required profit of investment. So, for example, Volvo here in Gothenburg, if they build a new car painting factory, they want to earn their invested capital at a certain rate. And it might be 6%, that would be a low discounting rate, and it might be 20%. And in a certain number of years also. So it's related to interest rates, and it varies between companies, countries, and over time. But it has a relation to the interest rates of the banking system. And why is this discounting rate important? Sorry, I should show this picture first. It has to do with how we value the future and which type of investments that are profitable. In the picture here, these are supposed to be sad windmills and a happy coal power plant. Because the guy is using a high discounting rate. With a high discounting rate, the coal plant is profitable because it has a low initial cost, small amount of money today, but more money in the future to buy coal for each month that it needs to run. But since the discounting rate is high, coal in the future is not valued as high as coal today. Or the money that we're going to buy coal with in the future is not valued as high as the investment we make today. We assume that we're going to have much more money in the future. And then we don't worry so much about the price of coal. And the windmills, they will cost a bit more per installed megawatt today, but the wind will be free in the future, and maintenance rather cheap. But since this guy is calculating with a high discounting rate, it's not profitable, because the cost of money today is valued higher than the cost of money in the future. And this is true for many, in general, many investments related to environmental sustainability. Like if you insulate a house, it will cost more today than just buying a simple electric heater. But if you value money very low in the future, then you just go with heater. You assume there will be much more electricity. And then it's the problem of infinite exponential growth. Who here has people here been come across this problem? Anything? Have you seen it in debates or taken read about it? Yes, some. Yes. This is a simple calculation example. You can do it on your smartphone. You have 1 crown, year 0, 2,000 years ago, and you put it in an account with 5% interest, and you see how much it is today. On the left arrow is if you only get interest on the initial 1 crown, then you get 0.05 öre, that's like crown cents for those of you not Sweden, per year. Then it doesn't become very much after 2,000 years. But as interest works, it's a compound interest rate. It's the interest rate on the present value. So it grows exponentially. And exponential growth becomes not very manageable in a longer time span. So it would become, the value of the initial crown will become the value of 8 million sons in gold that value in 2,000 years. So it's not practical. There's a limit. I think at least, we will not have this kind of values in the future, no matter how much service-based economy we have, or how big any energy efficiency measures we make. It's quite impossible to have this kind of growth. So interest rate plays a part here, because there's interest rates on everything, since everything is either lended or used as collateral or used as with a discounting rate. And the last, but also a good reason to engage in not specifically interest-free banking, but credit unions or membership banking, is that you know where your money is working. Because if you save money somewhere, it will always be working somewhere. It's not in the secure room of the bank. The bank is lending the money to somebody else always. And a big anonymous bank will probably lend it, or will lend it mostly to where they find the biggest revenues on, or profits from where they lend it. And for example, that might be weapons industry and petroleum industry that are extremely profitable businesses. So in a credit union or in a members bank, you know that money is just being lended to other members, and you know a bit about these people, and you might have a bigger trust for them than having the anonymous financial market. Okay, so this says what is JAK and how does JAK work. So these were some problems, and I represent JAK today, so I say that JAK is trying to address some of this, but JAK is under development, of course, and cannot, it's not perfect, of course. But I'll tell you a bit about how JAK works briefly, and then we'll discuss some matters. So JAK has two purposes. It should, on the left one here, is to benefit the members economically, and the right one to spread information about interest-free economy. So it's kind of two separate purposes, and they don't need to work exactly for each other. because the members are actually spending some money on the left objective. Some of their own money they spend on the right objective. That is not really benefiting economically, but there are two purposes, so some money is spent on each one. And on the left purpose, to benefit the members economically, this is done by running a bank, borrowing and lending money to each other. But then it's membership owned, so each member has equal share in bank ownership, and it's about 39,000 members. So, and each one has an equal share. And I can say something about the size more. The total savings, what the members are saving in bank, amounts to 1.2 billion crowns. That's 150 million euros. And about 60%, 70% of this is landed out again to members. And now then, how can this work? I'll briefly try to introduce this. We arrange, JAK arranges courses about how the system works, because it's a bit different from the normal banking system, though it's not very difficult, but it's just different. So I'll try to take this very briefly in about 5 minutes, but normally the course is like 1 day or 2. So it's not so easy to explain everything in this short time. But it's based on a system where you have points. But it's like if you save 1 crown in 1 month, you score a point. And if you want to borrow, you have to pay with these points. Pay, so to say. But the points cannot be traded for money. It's not money. It's just points. So in the simple way would be like this. On a diagram which is time on the x-axis and money on the y-axis, you would save money for a while. The blue area, the line on top of the blue area is increasing. You have more and more money on your account. And this means you get more and more saving points. That's SP's saving points. And when you accumulate enough saving points, you can take a loan that will cost you savings points. That's the simple case, just basically like this. But then this would mean that everybody needs to save money for many, many years before they can take a loan, and that's not what most people want or can do. So this can be separated in time also, so that you start by taking a loan, and at the same time you take a loan, you sign an agreement that I will save in the future in the account to make up for the savings points I use on this loan. So it's basically the same thing, but we save after the loan. And there's a whole other lot of stuff going into here also. There is a fee on a loan in JAK, very similar to interest rate. It's calculated the same way as an interest rate, and it's for the equivalent loan, it's sometimes higher than the regular interest rate than you can get in some banks in some special conditions. But it's fixed. You know exactly when you take a loan. You know exactly what it's going to cost. And it's only covering the real costs of the bank. And then you might, if you take this type of loan, where you need to save first, there is a point also that this money that you save afterwards, they are kind of fixed on your savings account. You can't use them until you pay your loan. So that means you will lose potential profit you could have gained from these savings if you put them somewhere else. Because you don't get an interest rate on your savings in JAK. Yeah. So that's how the system works. And it could be a mix also. Usually maybe you have some savings point before and then you loan some, get some negative savings points and then you save some after also. It's a mix of everything. And sometimes people have never heard about JAK, they heard something that it's just a bank giving free loans maybe. We happen to hear that sometimes. But it's not the same thing as a free loan, where people might think that we give loans very easily to anybody. But that's not the case, because lending somebody people that don't have the capacity to pay the loan is not a favor. It's more the other way around. So it's the same requirements as usual loans. Some are higher, some are lower, depending on the details. And yeah, like I said, it's a fixed cost on loans, so it's not like an interest rate that varies over time. It's always fixed. When you make the loan, you know exactly what's going to cost. The girl is saying, what's the cost of the loan? And the other girl is saying, it's 50,000 crowns. And in a picture, it can be shown like this. On the left side is a normal bank. They have 4 major costs, and those are credit loss. That's loans that do not get repaid. The house burns down and the person who lived there disappears, so the loan does not get repaid. That's actually costs. It's related to risk, and banks are very good in risk management. They know how big risks they take and they put that on the interest rate. And then there is administration costs, offices, computers and staff and computer programs cost money. And then in a normal bank you have shareholders. They get their profit on the turnover of the bank. And there are savers that are getting an interest rate on their savings accounts. In JAK Bank and other interest-free banks, there is only small credit loss, since this point system has the effect of reducing the risks. Most loans are this save after loans, and half time into such a loan, if the loan defaults, it will actually not be any credit loss, because there is coverage on the savings account. And also JAK might be a bit more careful about who to lend with too, in some perspectives. And then there is also administration costs. Of course, there is staff and one office in Skövde and a small office in Lund, Malmö, and one in Orsa in northern Sweden, or middle Sweden. And the administration cost of JAK is actually quite high. Administration cost per lended crown is several times higher than the administration costs of a normal big bank, which is a challenge. But since JAK is a completely separate system from normal banks. York has to develop their own software, have to have a lot of staff per member to give good service, and also make these courses and education for people as the second purpose of the bank. So it's rather high administration costs. But if York would be better, slowly getting better at using, for example, open source software, cost could be reduced. So there is a decision that York should do that. So I hope that it will speed up a bit. And I never said in the beginning what York stands for, but it's a Swedish abbreviation of soil, work and capital. Jord, arbete och kapital in Swedish. It sounds rather a bit Marxistic, but it's a non-political organization, so it's just how it sounds. Okay, I was thinking because there will be a whole track now today on this topic about economy and sustainability. So we could just start by having the last 5 minutes here, some discussions, and people, yeah, question?
Is there any way to give points to each other and sort of tie individuals to each other?
Yeah, there is. That's very common with older people. They have in general a lot of savings points during their middle age and retirement age. They get a lot of savings points. They give this to their children, or they give it to a certain project that they find are good. And that by getting points, you can get a loan with a lower payment. I mean, you don't need this after savings.
And do you sort of, is your experience that this enforces discipline among the borrowers to actually pay back the money?
I don't see it as something enforcing the payback of that's regulated by legal terms anyway. It's more of it's a very nice feature of the York banking system in that you can, it's an incentive to provide, or it makes it easy to help somebody with a good, working for something with a good purpose. And there is, for example, also some municipalities in northern Sweden now that have tried to put some of the municipality savings in a York account, and they use the savings points to promote local sustainable business. So that's in the same way. It doesn't have to be a person, it can be a municipality with savings points giving it to others. Yeah.
Do you know are there other countries and which other countries where they are kind of banking with the same model than JAK, with the same or another name which is in somehow significant scale?
Yes, there are some initiatives. York in Denmark still exists, but Sweden has grown past it in number of members.
Yeah.
And there is an initiatives in many other countries. I don't know exactly, but Miguel, who will talk here at 4 o'clock, I think, he's going to talk especially about interest-free banking in other countries. And he knows, he's the coordinator of international work on interest-free banking. And he will talk specifically about this. I can recommend that. So just like I said, the name of York was soil or earth, work or labor and capital. But then what is capital? I like to show this way why one can divide capital into different forms, just to remember that capital is not just money or financial capital. And it's from this guy Stefan de Wilde, who is an economist. So to think about this during the day here, that we're talking about economy, and economy is the management of resources, and the resources is not just money we're talking about, it's all kinds of capital. So natural, rain, soil, forest, sea, and of course financial, that we know, productive, which may be a factory or a tool or a patent. Also, I don't know about patents, but those are productive capital. Infrastructural, that's roads and stuff that we own together or that are common resource, common productive capital. And human capital is what all individuals know, their skills and their experiences. And institutional, how well our society works with regulations, courts, and parliaments and such. And then social capital, that is this difficult to define type of capital, maybe could be said to be amount of trust within society. And then it's going to have to talk, many people are going to talk about money today, and I think the Bitcoin presentation will deal more with this, but think about what is actually money. It's not that easy to define. Does anybody have a good definition of money? Would you like to try? Yeah, somebody try? I don't have a really good one, but I mean, we all know kind of what it is, but I don't have a better explanation than I think anybody can have. Yeah?
I think the definition for money in Sweden now is 2% inflation.
Yeah. And credit and debt are related. So those are two words we need to know to talk more about economy and market. And that's all the time I have for now. I'll put the schedule here so you can see it. The rest of the this track that we will do during the day in this room. Thank you.